Hello and welcome to another replica reviews video. Now today we're going to be doing a review on the new ASG CZ75. Now unlike other variants of the CZ75 that they've done before, this is a full size version, full metal blowback. I have to say, getting out of the box earlier on, I'm really impressed with it. So as you can see from the box here, it basically just gives you some general lowdown. Full metal slide, realistic blowback, which, you know, it is. The weight lends itself quite nicely with the blowback, and fully licensed by CZ. Obviously there you get all of the markings, etc., but we'll go into that later on. Now the packaging is pretty standard for ASG. It's just a cardboard cover, goes over the polystyrene inlay, and inside, first thing you notice is just the user manual. Now it's pretty standard from ASG really, just a little diagram here just giving you information on what parts are what. Trigger, mag release button, rear sights, etc., and just some general kind of safety tips here. Don't shoot yourself in the face, and obviously don't run around in public. Being a realistic gun, it's not going to end well for anybody. And then the further you go in, then obviously we go into the operation and how to use it, etc. And just a little bit of information here on measurement of joules, obviously because this is it's over 1 joule. So we'll go into that later on. Inside, got the Allen key, that's used for loading the CO2. I'll go into that when we get the gun out. I'll give you a quick lowdown on how to get that out. And also inside, as you may have seen from the unboxing video, are some BBs. Now, unlike most BBs that come free with guns, etc., these ones here are plastic. Now, they're still 4.5mm, so for those of you worrying, oh god, he's got another airsoft gun out, it's not the case at all. This is a 177 or 4.5mm ball bearing firing air pistol. They've just chosen to use plastic ball bearings. Now this is something I've never really come across before. I've looked around, I've checked out Highland Outdoors page as well. They're the guys that distributes ASG in the UK, and I can't see these things anywhere. So I'm not entirely sure where they've come from or how that's even going to chrono. Obviously the plastic's a lot lighter than your average steel ball bearing, so that'll be quite interesting to test out later on, maybe in another video. And then obviously the main attraction really, the pistol itself. Now what I'll do is I'll quickly get this out of the packaging and position the camera, and then we can carry on with the rest of the review. Okay, so here we have the pistol out of the box, and as you can see, it certainly is one fine looking bit of kit. Now it's worth just mentioning, lifting out the box, you notice there's quite a weight to it. The full metal construction really does give it a good comfortable weight. Frame is metal, slide is metal, and pretty much everything that you can see on the outside, apart from this plastic plate on the bottom, and the grips are metal. These are just two polymers. They're really quite high quality though. I wouldn't let the plastic put you off. As you can see, it's gone for the full size, sleek looking CZ75. You haven't got any tack rails hanging off it. It's not modelled off the compact as previous ASG versions have been. This is the full size version, and I have to say I really like it. Marking wise, as I said earlier, it's a licensed replica, so you've got all your CZ markings on the side. And what I really like is they've got Model 75 Cal 9mm para. A lot of companies, they just put a generic 4.5mm yada 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 sticker on the side, whereas these guys, ASG, seem to be pretty set on the realism. Now for a collector like myself, that's really nice. I do like it when the gun is as close to the original as you can get. Flipping it over, there's not overly too much in the word of markings here. You've got the simple little logo at the top of the grip, and just a couple of little ASG bits and pieces here. So you've got obviously the ASG branding, Cal 4.5mm BB, and then a serial number. Now I'm not sure if this is a unique serial number. There's been a few companies coming out with these unique serial numbers recently, and I have to say I'm a little bit unsold. The Webley that we've had obviously had a unique serial number down the side of it, but I have had viewers messaging me saying, oh, does your serial number consist of these digits? And lo and behold, they've got the same. So I'm not really too sure what's going on there, but it's a nice touch either way, and I do quite like the way that it's in white as well. It just makes it stand out a little bit. And obviously the two stickers here that you can just take off, so no worries, they are removable, they're not permanent by any means. Now while we're on this side, it's probably quite a good time to point out a couple of the external features. As you can see here, the ejection port is polished, makes it look really nice, and it just breaks it up a little bit. A lot of these black guns, when they're all black, there's little details that just get lost. So the fact that they've polished out the cover here is really nice. Also the trigger is nice and polished. You know, I've never really been a fan of polished triggers, but it matches the look. It's not too much, but it's not too little. And obviously at the end of the muzzle here, a little bit out of focus, is just polished as well. Now flipping it over, you can see that it functions much the same as a real CZ75. For those of you that aren't familiar with how they function, very similar to 1911's, the Browning High Power for example, they're a single action only pistol. Now what that means is, like most, or like a lot of guns on the market, I can pull the trigger and it will cycle something through, but as you can see it's not the case with this one. It has to be cocked before it will function. So that's not just the trigger that only functions when it's cocked, it's also the safety catch. As you can see, it stays in place, and then if I cock the gun, you can flick it up and down like so. Now there's two ways of loading the gun. You can either bring the hammer back to the rear, or you can grip the slide here. It's got these really little handy attachment points here, and just bring it to the rear. And as you can see, you've got the open chamber, which is quite a nice feature. Now one thing I have to say that I'm not overly too sold on as regards to the construction, etc., which is more a design fault with the actual real steel pistol rather than this one in particular, is the fact that the slide is actually really shallow. So if you're like me and you're trying to get a grip of it, you've got to hold it from the rear. You can't just come down and clamp it as such, because you'll end up gripping the lower frame and you won't be able to reload it. And also, as you can just see, you've got the polished outer barrel as well. Releasing that forward like so, some really nice sound when you release it forward. It gives quite a nice positive click. You know when it's seated in place, which is a really, really nice feature. Now the magazine is a full-size dropout magazine. If I move this to one side, you can see it's got the two cutouts here just to allow the CO2 to seat in nicely, and also just to keep the width down. You find a lot of the CO2 guns have to be made wider to accommodate the 12-gram CO2 cartridge, which is a bit of a shame. If you look at the Airsoft 1911 mags, for example, the green gas ones, they're just low profile and they look smart as anything. Now one thing I really like what ASG have done is basically they put a cover on the bottom of the magazine. Now a lot of guns, Cybergun mostly, Umarex to a certain degree, is they will just have the CO2 bolt or tab or whatever you want to call it just showing at the bottom. Now when it's in a holster, it just looks really naff. Now as you can see, it's got a sticker on here again. Don't worry about that, that comes off as well. But really neatly, if you push down this little button that you can just see here and slide the plate forward, it exposes where you load the CO2. Now for those of you that saw the Allen key at the start of the video, that just goes in the centre. Or you can use a coin screwdriver, or if you've got like the Desert Eagle key that comes with the Umarex Desert Eagle, that will also fit as well. I did give that a quick try a second ago, and that just makes loading really easy. And to get the tab off, you just push down either on the top of the button, or you've got this little lever here, push down like so, and you can see it moves the pin just out of the way. And then when you're done, simply click it on like so. So you can either pull down and take off, and then clicks back on place. Now, I can't say I'm a fan of the extended mag look. I do prefer when it sits flush with the bottom, but it just does add a little bit of extra grip room to the pistol. And as you can see, it just acts as something just to rest your little finger on as you're gripping it. But I would have preferred a low profile look, to be completely honest. Okay, so overall I have to say that I am really, really impressed with this replica. The guys at Highland Outdoors seem to be selecting their replicas quite closely, obviously with the Webley coming in. And now this. To me, this is a bit of a game changer. Now ASG for a few years now, to me, they just haven't been in the same ball game. Now, they've sold well. The damn Westerns are still our most popular viewed video around, but there's always little kind of niggles, little things wrong with them. You know, the damn Western, for example, the speed loader, it didn't quite line up with the cylinder properly. You look at the Umarex one, it just goes straight in, whereas the damn Western had to go in an angle. The P07, for example, the front foresight used to blow itself off because it was just a little slot-in job that had been attached. Obviously, with use, quite a strong blowback on it, it would self-destruct. And I also had to send one back because it did just that. The slide, as it came back, had so much force, it basically came off the bottom of the frame. However, they seem to have changed this with this new model 75. The full metal construction is by far one of the nicest ones I've come across for quite a while. The overall finish is really good. There's no rattles, creaks, wobbles anywhere that there shouldn't be. Obviously, you've got a little bit of noise when you rattle it around in your hand with the outer and the inner barrel touching each other, but there's a little rubber seal around there, so that reduces most of that. There's no creaking in the grips when you take hold of the gun, and you know, I just have been impressed. It's just nice to see something done properly, and with the traditional kind of look of the CZ75, quite an iconic pistol. It was really important to make sure it was done right. Now this does come in at a whopping £180, so you're certainly paying a premium for this quality. But if you're a collector or if you're just serious about your air guns, you really can't go too far wrong with this one, and I'd recommend it to anybody. With the package as well, we've got the little plastic BBs. I'd be really interested to hear what the deal is with those, because I'll be quite interested to get some more in, maybe put them through the chronograph and see what kind of differences that does for the power output. I'm assuming the 1.6 joules that this thing is quoted as having will be with metal ball bearings, so I'm imagining the plastic ones being lighter, they might fly a little bit harder, but obviously with power becomes loss of accuracy. So it'd be interesting to see on a grouping target how well each of them do side by side. So I'll do some more research into that and I'll see what I can find. Now I hope you've enjoyed the review for this one. It's nice to actually get something new on the market. A lot of years it's just carryover models, so I was really pleased when I saw this one was being released, and I just had to get my hands on it quite quickly to get up and review. I'll put some more pictures over on our Facebook page if you want to check those out. I'll put a link in the description, and I'll also, just say, if you quickly search in replica reviews on Facebook, it'll come straight up there. If you're not on Facebook, you can still view our page just by googling replica reviews Facebook, and you can go on the page. It's all public, it's there to see, and I'll post all sorts of bits of information up there. So until our next video, if you've got any questions, anything like that, feel free to post them in the comments box below, or give us a message. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Hope you've enjoyed the video, so thank you very much. Feel free to like and subscribe.